Hello, my friends. Welcome back to Daily English Fluent Podcast. I am Jake, and I am very happy to practice English with you today. In today's episode, we are going to talk about a very useful English topic. We are going to learn how to talk about your yesterday. This is something people ask all the time in English. Maybe a friend says, "How was your day yesterday?" Maybe your teacher asks, "What did you do yesterday?" Maybe a coworker asks, "How was your evening?" These are simple questions, but many English learners feel nervous when they answer. They know many English words, but suddenly they cannot remember the past tense. They stop speaking. They think too much. They worry about making mistakes. If this happens to you, do not worry. You are not alone. Many English learners have exactly the same problem. The good news is that talking about yesterday is much easier than you think. You do not need difficult grammar. You do not need long stories. You only need a simple structure and some useful vocabulary. When you learn this structure and practice it many times, you will answer naturally and confidently. Today, we will practice together using easy English. We will use short sentences. We will use clear examples from daily life. We will talk about mornings, afternoons, evenings, work, school, family, hobbies, and relaxing at home. By the end of this lesson, you will feel much more comfortable talking about what happened yesterday. First, let's understand why people ask about yesterday. Usually, they are not asking because they want every small detail. They simply want to have a conversation. Imagine you meet your friend today. Your friend smiles and says, "How was your day yesterday?" They are inviting you to talk. They want to know a little about your life. Maybe something interesting happened. Maybe nothing special happened. Both answers are perfectly fine. Many learners think they must tell an exciting story. They think yesterday must be full of adventures. That is not true. Most people have ordinary days. They wake up, they eat breakfast, they go to work or school, they study, they cook dinner, they watch television, they spend time with family, they go to bed. Ordinary life is excellent practice because these are the situations we talk about every day. Let's learn a simple pattern. A good answer about yesterday can have 5 parts. First, say how your day was. Second, say what you did in the morning. Third, talk about the afternoon. Fourth, explain your evening. Finally, say how you felt at the end of the day. This structure is simple, clear, and easy to remember. Let's hear a very easy example. Yesterday was a good day. In the morning, I went to work. In the afternoon, I had lunch with my coworkers. In the evening, I watched a movie at home. I felt relaxed before I went to bed. This answer is short, but it sounds natural. It gives enough information without becoming too long. Now, let's look at each part more carefully. The first part is describing your day. You can use simple adjectives. Yesterday was good. Yesterday was busy. Yesterday was relaxing. Yesterday was exciting. Yesterday was quiet. Yesterday was difficult. Yesterday was wonderful. Yesterday was normal. These simple sentences immediately tell the listener how your day felt. Now let's move to the morning. The morning is often the easiest part because many people have similar routines. You can say, "Yesterday morning I woke up early. I made breakfast. I drank coffee. I took a shower. I walked my dog. I studied English. I went to school. I went to work. I stayed at home." All these sentences use simple past tense. Notice how easy they are. You do not need complicated grammar. Now let's practice with a complete morning example. Yesterday morning, I woke up at 7 o'clock. I took a shower, made breakfast, and drank a cup of coffee. Then I went to work. Very simple. Very natural. Next comes the afternoon. Many things happen during the afternoon. You can say, "I had lunch with my family. I worked until 5 o'clock. I studied for my exam. I visited my grandparents. I cleaned my room. I went shopping. I finished my homework. I answered my emails. Again, these are common daily activities. Here is an example. Yesterday afternoon, I worked until 5 o'clock. After work, I went to the supermarket and bought some food. Notice that this answer sounds natural because it follows the order of the day. Now let's talk about the evening. Many people relax in the evening. You might say, I cooked dinner. I watched television. I watched YouTube. I read a book. I listened to music. I played games. I talked with my family. I called my friend. I exercised. I went for a walk. Let's hear another example. Yesterday evening, I cooked pasta for dinner. Then I watched an English movie and practiced some new words before going to bed. Very simple. Very clear. Finally, we can talk about our feelings. You can say, I felt happy. I felt tired. I felt relaxed. I felt proud. I felt sleepy. I felt stressed. I felt excited. These feelings help your story sound more personal. For example, yesterday was busy, but I felt happy because I finished all my work. Or, yesterday was quiet, and I felt very relaxed. These small details make your English sound much more natural. Now, let's put everything together. Yesterday was a busy day. In the morning, I woke up early and went to work. In the afternoon, I had lunch with my coworkers and finished an important project. In the evening, I cooked dinner, watched some television, and talked with my family. At the end of the day, I felt tired but happy. This is an excellent answer. It is easy to understand. It follows a logical order. It uses simple vocabulary. Now let's hear another example. Yesterday was relaxing. I stayed at home because it was my day off. In the morning, I made pancakes and drank tea. In the afternoon, I read a book and listened to music. Later, I watched a funny movie. Before bed, I practiced English for 30 minutes. I felt calm and ready for today. Can you see how simple this is? There are no difficult words. Everything is everyday English. Sometimes yesterday is not interesting at all, and that is completely okay. You can simply say, yesterday was normal. I went to work, came home, cooked dinner, watched television, and went to bed. That is a perfect answer. Many learners worry because they think they need exciting experiences. They do not. English conversations are often about ordinary life. Now let's learn some very useful past tense verbs that you will hear every day. Wake became woke. Go became went. Eat became ate. Drink became drank. See became saw. Come became came. Buy became bought. Take became took. Have became had. Make became made. Read stays read, but we pronounce it differently. These verbs appear in conversations all the time. Let's practice together. Yesterday, I went to school. Yesterday, I had breakfast. Yesterday, I bought some fruit. Yesterday, I saw my best friend. Yesterday, I made dinner. Yesterday, I took the bus. Yesterday, I came home late. These short sentences build confidence because they use the most common verbs in English. Now, let's imagine a conversation. Someone asks, "How was your day yesterday?" You answer, "It was good." They ask, "What did you do?" You answer, "I worked all day. After work, I met a friend for coffee. Then I went home and watched a movie." The conversation sounds natural because you answer one step at a time. Many learners try to remember every grammar rule while speaking. This often makes speaking harder. Instead, remember the order: morning, afternoon, evening, feelings. If you follow this order, your ideas come naturally. Another helpful tip is to use time expressions. Yesterday morning, yesterday afternoon, Yesterday evening, last night. After that, then, later. Finally, these words connect your ideas smoothly and make your English easier to follow. One more important point is pronunciation. When you say past tense verbs ending in ed, do not worry if your pronunciation is not perfect. Focus first on speaking clearly and confidently. Communication is more important than perfection. Today, we are building a strong foundation. Little by little, your confidence will grow. Every conversation about yesterday will become easier because you are practicing the same useful structure again and again. Now let's practice with different kinds of yesterday. Every person's day is different, so every answer will be different too. Maybe yesterday was a work day. Maybe it was a school day. Maybe it was your day off. Maybe you stayed at home because you were tired. Every answer is useful because English is about sharing your real life. Let's begin with a student. Imagine someone asks, "What did you do yesterday?" You can answer like this. Yesterday was a busy school day. I woke up at 6:30 and got ready for school. My first class started at 8 o'clock. I studied English, math, and science. During lunch, I talked with my classmates. After school, I went home and finished my homework. In the evening, I watched some YouTube videos and practiced English for 20 minutes. I went to bed at 10 o'clock because I was very tired. This answer is simple, organized, and natural. Now let's imagine someone who works in an office. Yesterday was quite busy. I arrived at work early and answered many emails. Later, I had a meeting with my team. In the afternoon, I finished an important project. After work, I stopped at the supermarket and bought some vegetables and fruit. When I got home, I cooked dinner, talked with my family, and relaxed before bed. This answer sounds like a real conversation because it follows the order of the day. Now let's imagine someone who stayed at home. Yesterday was very peaceful. I stayed home all day because I wanted to rest. In the morning, I made breakfast and read a book. Later, I cleaned the kitchen and washed some clothes. In the afternoon, I listened to music while I organized my room. In the evening, I watched a comedy movie and drank a cup of tea. It was a quiet but enjoyable day. Many learners think staying home is boring to talk about, but actually these are the conversations people have every day. Now let's learn more useful verbs that help you describe yesterday. You can say cleaned, cooked, washed, studied, visited, called, played, watched, listened, worked, traveled, arrived, finished, started, helped, opened, closed, enjoyed, needed, wanted, remembered, forgot, smiled, laughed, cried, carried, climbed, stayed, rested, practiced, answered, learned, and decided. These are very common verbs that you will use often. Let's make short examples together. Yesterday, I cleaned my room. Yesterday, I cooked dinner. Yesterday, I visited my aunt. Yesterday, I watched a football match. Yesterday, I practiced English. Yesterday, I helped my neighbor. Yesterday, I listened to a podcast. Yesterday, I answered many emails. Yesterday, I finished my homework. Yesterday, I rested because I was tired. Notice how every sentence starts the same way. This repetition helps your brain remember the structure. Now let's talk about time expressions. These words make your story easy to follow. You can say first, then, after that, later, in the afternoon, after work, after school, in the evening, before dinner, before bed, finally, and at the end of the day. Listen to this example. Yesterday was busy. First, I woke up early. Then I made breakfast. After that, I drove to work. Later, I had lunch with my coworkers. In the evening, I exercised for 30 minutes. Finally, I watched television before bed. The listener can easily imagine your day because everything happens in order. Now let's imagine another conversation. A friend asks, "Did you do anything interesting yesterday?" You could answer, Yes, I visited a new cafe with my friend. We drank coffee, talked for 2 hours, and tried some delicious cake. After that, we walked around the city before going home. Or maybe your answer is, not really. I stayed home, cleaned my apartment, watched a movie, and went to bed early. Both answers are completely natural. English conversations are often very simple. Sometimes people also ask, how was yesterday? This question is even easier. You can answer with one adjective first. It was great. It was good. It was busy. It was difficult. It was relaxing. Then you can add 1 or 2 sentences. For example, it was relaxing. I stayed home, read a book, and spent time with my family. Or, it was busy. I worked all day and finished a big project. Simple answers are usually the best. Now let's learn how to talk about problems yesterday. Sometimes, not everything goes well. You can say, yesterday was difficult because I felt sick. Yesterday was stressful because I had many meetings. Yesterday was tiring because I did a lot of work. Yesterday was disappointing because it rained all day. Yesterday was frustrating because my computer stopped working. These are useful expressions, but remember to keep your story simple. You do not need to explain every detail. For example, yesterday was stressful. My computer had a problem, so I could not finish my work on time. Fortunately, everything is okay now. This sounds balanced and positive. Now, let's compare 2 answers. First answer, yesterday was good. I went to work. I came home. I watched TV. Second answer, yesterday was good. I went to work in the morning and finished an important project. After work, I came home, cooked dinner, and watched my favorite TV show before bed. The second answer sounds much more interesting because it includes small details. Small details make a big difference. Instead of saying, I ate dinner, you can say, I cooked chicken and rice for dinner. Instead of saying, I watched TV, you can say, I watched a funny comedy. Instead of saying, I went shopping, you can say, I bought a new notebook and some fresh fruit. These details make your English sound more natural without using difficult vocabulary. Now let's practice another complete example. Yesterday was a wonderful day. I woke up early because the weather was beautiful. After breakfast, I went to the park and walked for an hour. Then I met an old friend for lunch. We talked about our jobs and our families. In the afternoon, I came home and read an English book. In the evening, I cooked dinner, watched a movie, and went to bed feeling happy. This answer flows naturally because every event follows the previous one. Another useful tip is not to worry if you cannot remember every detail from yesterday. Nobody expects a perfect memory. If you forget something, simply continue speaking. You can say, I don't remember everything, but I mostly stayed at home. Or you can say, I think I watched a movie after dinner. Words like think, maybe, probably, and I guess are very common in everyday English because people are not always 100% sure. That is completely normal. Another mistake many learners make is speaking only with short answers. Someone asks, "What did you do yesterday?" And they answer, "Nothing." The conversation stops immediately. A better answer is, "Not much. I stayed home, relaxed, watched some videos, and practiced a little English." This answer is still short, but now the conversation can continue. The other person might ask, "What videos did you watch?" Or "What did you study?" Good conversations grow little by little. Another common mistake is trying to translate every sentence from your native language. This often creates confusion. Instead, think about simple actions. Wake up, eat breakfast, go to work. Have lunch. Come home, cook dinner, watch television, go to bed. These simple actions are enough for excellent English conversations. The more you practice these everyday stories, the faster your English will become. Little by little, Talking about yesterday will feel easy and natural, just like talking about today. Now, let's bring everything together and practice talking about yesterday with confidence. Remember, the goal is not to tell a perfect story. The goal is to communicate clearly. Every conversation is an opportunity to practice. The more you speak, the more natural English becomes. Let's imagine you meet a friend this morning. They smile and ask, "How was your yesterday?" You can answer, "Yesterday was really nice. I woke up early, made breakfast, and went for a short walk before work. My workday was busy, but everything went well. After work, I cooked dinner, watched an English podcast, and relaxed before bed." That is already a great answer. It is clear, organized, and easy to understand. Now, let's imagine another situation. You are in your English class. Your teacher asks everyone to describe yesterday. You could say, "Yesterday was interesting. In the morning, I studied English for 30 minutes before school. During school, I learned some new vocabulary and talked with my classmates. After school, I went home, finished my homework, and helped my parents prepare dinner. In the evening, I listened to music and went to sleep early." This answer uses simple English, but it sounds confident because it follows the natural order of the day. Now imagine you are speaking with an English-speaking coworker. They ask, "Did you have a good day yesterday?" You can answer, "Yes, I did. Yesterday was productive. I finished several important tasks at work and had lunch with my team. After work, I stopped by the grocery store, bought some food, and cooked dinner at home. Then, I watched a documentary before going to bed." This is exactly how many native speakers describe their day. They do not use difficult grammar. They simply explain what happened. Let's practice another example together. "Yesterday was a little difficult because I woke up late. I rushed to work and forgot my lunch at home. Fortunately, my coworker shared lunch with me. After work, I exercised, took a relaxing shower, and went to bed early because I was tired." Even when something goes wrong, you can still tell the story calmly. Another useful thing to remember is that conversations usually continue after your answer. Someone may ask, "What movie did you watch? Where did you go? Who did you meet? Did you enjoy it?" These follow-up questions are normal. You do not need to answer with long speeches. Short and friendly answers are enough. For example, "I watched a comedy. It was really funny." Or, "I met my cousin. We had coffee together." Or, "Yes, I enjoyed it very much." These simple answers keep the conversation moving naturally. Now, let's practice talking about different kinds of days. Imagine yesterday was your birthday. You could say, "Yesterday was my birthday. I received many messages from my friends and family. In the evening, we went to a restaurant together. We ate delicious food, laughed a lot, and took many pictures. I felt very happy." Now imagine yesterday was rainy. Yesterday it rained all day, so I stayed inside. I made hot tea, read a novel, practiced English, and watched a movie. Even though the weather was bad, I still had a relaxing day. Now imagine yesterday was your first day at a new job. "Yesterday was my first day at work. I felt a little nervous in the morning, but everyone was very friendly. I learned many new things and met my new coworkers. I came home feeling tired but excited." These examples show that every kind of day can become an English conversation. You only need to describe what happened step by step. Now let's talk about confidence again. Many learners stop speaking because they are afraid of making mistakes with past tense verbs. Maybe you say "I goed" instead of "I went." Maybe you say "I buyed" instead of "I bought." That is okay while you are learning. Every mistake teaches you something. The important thing is to continue speaking. Confidence grows through practice, not through perfection. Every English learner makes mistakes. Even advanced learners sometimes forget words. Do not let small mistakes stop your conversation. Another excellent habit is writing about your yesterday every evening. You only need 5 or 6 sentences. For example, yesterday I woke up at 7. I worked until 5 o'clock. After work, I visited my parents. We had dinner together. Later, I watched television and went to bed. When you write these sentences every day, speaking becomes much easier because your brain starts recognizing the same patterns. You can also record yourself speaking about yesterday. Listen to your recording. Do not focus on every mistake. Instead, choose one small thing to improve. Maybe speak a little slower. Maybe pronounce one word more clearly. Maybe use one new past tense verb. Small improvements every day create big results over time. Here is a simple 7-day practice plan. Day 1, write 5 sentences about yesterday. Day 2, read those sentences aloud. Day 3, try saying them without reading. Day 4, record your voice. Day 5, listen and improve one pronunciation mistake. Day 6, tell your story again using a few new details. Day 7, tell someone about your yesterday without looking at your notes. This method is simple, but it works because repetition builds confidence. Before we finish, let's practice one final example together. Yesterday was a very enjoyable day. I woke up early and made a healthy breakfast. Then I studied English for half an hour before going to work. My workday was busy, but I finished everything on time. After work, I met a friend for coffee, and we talked about our weekend plans. In the evening, I cooked dinner, watched an English video, and read a few pages of a book before going to sleep. I felt happy because it was a productive and relaxing day. This answer is long enough to sound natural, but it is still easy to understand. You can change the details to match your own life. Remember the simple structure. Start by saying how your day was. Then talk about your morning. Next, describe your afternoon. After that, explain your evening. Finally, share how you felt. If you remember these 5 steps, you will always have something to say. Before we say goodbye, I want you to remember one important idea. Yesterday is already finished, but talking about yesterday helps build your English for tomorrow. Every small conversation makes you stronger. Every sentence makes you more confident. Every new word becomes another tool you can use. You do not need perfect grammar. You do not need a perfect accent. You only need the courage to speak and the patience to keep practicing. Little by little, your English will improve. One day you will answer questions about yesterday without thinking. Your words will come naturally because you practice them many times. Thank you so much for listening to Daily English Fluent Podcast. I am Jake, and I am very happy you practiced with me today. Keep listening, keep speaking, keep learning, and keep improving one day at a time. Your English grows every time you use it. I will see you in the next podcast.